Welcome to another edition of Living with Purpose. Today I have Vinaya Rao. She is an artist and she is the founder of Viya Contemporaries, a art gallery. She has been a artist living here in the Seattle area. She was an artist in residence at the Kirkland Art Center. She's also had her gallery in downtown Seattle. And now she has a major gallery on the east side. And I'm thrilled to have a fellow artist talk about their life journey and how purpose is shaping them and driving them. So please join me in welcoming Vinaya. Vinaya, welcome on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction. Good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be here on your podcast. Thank you so much for creating a space, for people to share their stories and especially for having me be a part of it. And I'm really, really excited and thrilled to share my art journey with you all. And thank you so much, Akhtarji, for your support. It really means a lot. Thank you so much.
So, you're very welcome. So let's start off by just talking about your growing up, your childhood, and then your exposure to art and why art has become such a central piece of your life.
I'm originally from Hyderabad, India, which is in the southern region. And growing up in Hyderabad, I was always very deeply inspired by my father. He was actually an IPS officer by profession and a police commissioner. And he was also a voracious reader. He was a writer. He authored many books and a huge patron of the arts. And in fact, he provided a lot of financial support for many artists back in the day. He helped them buy paints and brushes because many of them come from very humble, very modest backgrounds and from nearby towns. And they were all extremely talented artists. They had so much creativity and talent. And he always saw that. And he, in fact, commissioned many of their works for the government. And he loved to be that kind of support and help for many of these up-and-coming artists. And because of his diverse interests, I was introduced to many of them. In fact, very lucky to have been introduced at a very young age. This was probably in my elementary school. I was so fortunate to spend many, many summers learning how to paint and how to draw from some incredibly talented artists who are big names now in the Indian contemporary art world. So it was really great growing up surrounded with all these artists as it cultivated that rich upbringing and genuinely deep love for art for me. He was a voracious reader, so we were surrounded by a lot of art books and reading about Picasso, reading about Van Gogh, Matisse. Like it was something I was very excited and I was in awe. And attending many art workshops and retreats back in the day, which were so full of energy and creativity because these art workshops, they had artists from all over the country. From Calcutta, from Chennai, from everywhere. And I remember spending many summer afternoons drawing and painting away because I was always very fascinated by color. I think it was the love of color that got me really into art. I think you can relate with this, Akhtarji, because I see so much color in your beautiful art too. It's so vibrant. I'm so attracted to all the warm and the cool tones. And coming from India, that's the thing. There's never enough color. I mean, it's everywhere. And it's the combination of these colors and cultures. And overall, my love for them drew me even more closer to art. And that was the initial spark to my art journey. And this was like when I was in probably 4th or 5th grade. And I remember my sisters would be like, they would be doing other things and I'd be just sitting and painting and drawing for hours and hours in the afternoon. And spending several summers learning and painting directly under artists, which influenced a lot of art that I see today. And it's been a great journey. And I'm very, very fortunate and lucky to have had that.
So let me ask you, so you grew up in a family, you said you had sisters. Can you just talk a little bit about your family, what other members of your family are doing? And then where did you study? What happened? Just talk a little bit about how your life evolved after that initial exposure to these artists that were coming and visiting your father, spending the summer there, talking about art. So just talk us through that journey that you went through.
we have altogether four of us. I have three other siblings. So my older sister, I'm the youngest. So my older sister, she's a dentist and she's married to a surgeon and they live in Edmonton, Canada. And then my second sister, she's an engineer and they live in Dallas. Her husband, he's a businessman. Then I have my brother. He works for IBM in Austin, Texas. And yes, I'm here in Seattle. So I think I definitely got the most influenced by my father because I really also enjoyed doing what I was doing. I enjoyed making art. So he would take me more, like he would tag me along with him wherever he was going, especially to all these art retreats and art workshops. Like he would always be like, okay, let's go. And he would take me along. And because I was so aligned with it, I really enjoyed it and he saw that. So anyways, I did not learn art like, formally when I was in India. But I did my master's. I have an MBA. I worked in the corporate world for a few years. Then quickly realized that it was kind of not my calling and quit my job. And I don't know which side of the bed I got off one day. And I just decided to quit work and get into full-time art. And
let's kind of go back a little bit. So talk a little bit about where did you study? You said you did your MBA.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that. Which companies did you work for? And then let's get into you getting out on the right side of the bed so that you actually be the artist.
Yes. It was a great, it's a great day. I still think about that day and I don't regret. I'm like really glad I did that. I made that leap and never regretted it. I did my master's in Hyderabad. Most of my education was in Hyderabad, my bachelor's and my master's. Then after that, I worked in GE Finance. I majored in human resources and marketing, and I was mostly in the HR department for about 3 years. And then I was in Boston. I did a lot of other courses in Boston because at the time I was on a visa, which I was like not unable to work. So I was studying for the most part. So we were in Boston before moving to Seattle. So we lived in Boston for 3.5 years before moving here, and continued pursuing courses in MBA because that was what I was aligned with at that time. And then I tried to work in small companies over here. Just did like a few, I don't know, like just like nothing, like recruiting, like a small things, like nothing major. But my biggest thing was mostly in GE Finance, and that was in India. And after that, that's when I decided it was really not working. I was trying to work here, trying to fit into the corporate world, and somehow it was not aligning and it was not my calling. And that's when I decided this is not for me. And that's when I decided to quit everything and just stop seeking. Got into art school and finally wanted to like art educate myself full time. And it was important for me to learn and formally, kind of educate myself in all the art mediums. There's so many mediums. Watercolors, acrylics, oils, and caustics. So I tried to learn as many different things as possible because I was wanting to have like that range of knowledge in all these different mediums and experimenting different things and enrolling myself in various workshops and getting that exposure was important for me. So I have been an artist here for 15 plus years and participated in many art shows and jewelry exhibits in Seattle and Kirkland Arts Center. I was also very lucky to have had several exhibits, actually about 8 or 9 exhibits at West Elm. West Elm is a furniture store here it's a chain actually. It's a pretty big chain here in the United States. And I had like 8 to 9 exhibits with them in both Bellevue and Seattle, which really helped me reach new audiences. So that was like they had this amazing local artist program at the time. So that really helped boost my art career. And that was a beautiful time. Like I enjoyed making art and being part of a lot of art crit groups. So art is a very solitary profession. I'm sure you know that. You're an amazing artist yourself, Akhtarji, so you can relate. It's a very solitary profession. So I always liked forming like little art groups, like little crit groups. So we had a crit group, formed one like in 2014. And with a small group of artists, local artists over here. Then I was always part of many other crit groups in the Seattle area as well. So that kind of really helped, like, when you critique each other's works, when you see different mediums, different subjects, it's just very inspiring and it's a lot of learning too. So it's been interesting, like coming from being in the corporate world for some time and, tinkering with art and learning art and being an artist full time has been like a beautiful, beautiful journey. And that's what helped me grow. And I think that's why I decided to kind of, continue my art. I know off late I haven't had enough time to make my own art, but first as an artist myself, and now I definitely evolving into a curator and now a gallerist.
Going back a little bit, as you decided to plunge into the art world in Seattle, did you associate yourself with any of the art schools or places to learn, or did you just self-teach yourself?
I think it was both. It was a bit of both. I was a very dedicated practicing artist. I'm like, once I'm in my studio, it can be 5 hours, anywhere between 5 to 8 hours. I'm just working. It doesn't matter. Like I wouldn't even know time. Time would just fly, and I wouldn't even know if it's.
I can relate to that.
You can, yes. Time would just go by, and I wouldn't know if it's day or night, or if there's a hurricane outside, if there's a thunderstorm. I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't even care. So when you have those zone moments and those flow moments, like you just not. It's unstoppable. You just keep going. And yes, I did enroll in a lot of schools actually because it was important. I did have a mentor for many years. His name is Mr. Michael Oderson. Unfortunately, he moved out of Seattle. He moved to Arizona because he had more sunshine. He was my mentor. He loved the colors in Phoenix. He always told me, so we still stay in touch, and he always told me the sunsets are extremely beautiful. There's so much color, which is absolutely true. The sky is extremely vibrant. So he was my mentor for a huge part for many, many years, and critiquing my works, and we worked closely, and he was a teacher, mentor. He was a huge inspiration. He was a huge guide and an amazing person. So I really miss him, actually. I wish he was here and he never left. It was great, like working with him. And after he left, it felt like, oh my God, now suddenly I'm by myself. And that's why being with crit groups and working together and exchanging those ideas and that creativity was very important for me. I mean, of course, I would also work many, many hours by myself, but every once a month, twice a month, we would like to meet up and, share our works and talk about each other's work and, what we are doing next. So it was a great creative exchange. It was much needed.
So talk a little about your work. What style do you use? What are the kinds of things that you are interested in? Just so that our listeners can actually understand what drew you to art.
As I said, I always loved color. And after moving to Seattle, somehow I was missing some color back then. I mean, I know we're very fortunate to have such long sunny days now, but there was a time for years, there was hardly any sun. And there were these overcast skies and it was very gloomy. And then I was like missing color, missing that vibrancy. And I would take it all out on my canvases. And that's when I would be like, okay, I need to mix the brightest color palette today. I'm going to mix this bright yellows and oranges. So my art style is mostly abstract. I'm very much in love with abstraction. And I've learned many things. I mean, I've learned how to paint landscapes and maybe not portraits as much, a little bit of drawing experience, but my heart has always been in abstraction. I always loved the abstract expressionists and their works, and visiting many, many galleries and museums and seeing many, many works in all the different cities. It was very inspiring, and I just love how every work is like, you have your own, like how you perceive each work in your own way, and what you see is so personal to you. I just love that. And when people view my works, I always ask them, what do you see? I mean, they always ask me, what is this? But I'm like, but what do you see? How do you relate with it? So I enjoy abstraction a lot. I enjoy color, and I'm not afraid to show that color, to put that color down. And sometimes I would get some feedback that, oh, this is too much color, or you cannot use this color next to this color. But I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's my work, and that's what I want to, that's what I want to showcase. And so just being yourself, being authentic, and I think it's my roots. It's natural that my roots coming from India, it has always been so predominantly color-centric and so much color over there. That's why it was never enough. I loved playing with color and experimenting and putting textures. And that was my thing. Yes, abstract work was always my go-to. I loved it.
I'm a firm believer of color, as you know.
Yes.
And I am not afraid of color, and I'm not afraid of putting one color next to another color. I don't follow any particular color palette rules
Mhm.
because I just think color is color, and you just have to kind of figure out how you want to show up with color. There were a couple of things you said, so I want to kind of just go back to that. One was taking this leap of faith
Yes.
and having this enormous trust in yourself that you could actually move from something that you were getting paid to do
Mhm.
versus actually doing something that you really cared about and not getting paid to do.
Right, right.
To me, that is always the challenge for people.
Okay.
So, how do you take that step? Clearly, you went into art. We all know that most artists are poor.
Mhm.
So, talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I think for me, it was never about the financial aspect. Like when I got into art, also, it was all about loving what I was doing and what I was enjoying the most. And for the most part, my heart was wholly, solely like in art. Doing that to the fullest and justifying that was at the very center for me, at the very core. So I don't think I thought too much about the money aspect. In fact, many of my works had sold, and especially with the West Elm exhibits, I was very surprised because West Elm is a kind of space where there's a lot of foot traffic, and they worked very closely with me at the time. The designers and the managers at the time, they were very fond of my work, and they put my work all across their store. And when they would have like their design teams in, and when they had clients come in for home decorations, etc., projects, etc., they would always kind of push my work and kind of include that. And it was like a great space. They were like really encouraging local artists and public art. They were completely doing it for the artists wholly. Like they never took any commissions. There was nothing. Everything went to the artist. Entirely 100% of the sale went to the artist. So that was very, very generous of them to do it. But I think they don't have that program anymore. I think post-COVID, I think they stopped. It was all pre-COVID. So getting into this whole art thing, Akhtarji, I didn't really think too much about the financial aspect. I've been comfortable. It was something I was just plainly going with my heart. It was my heart, and that's what was guiding me and letting me explore. And I was exploring, I was learning, I was having fun along the way and meeting the most exciting people. And artists are the best people. They're the best people we meet. It's like, I love, like, they're all so inspiring, and we found ways to share our journey, and it was like sharing all these stories with them and exhibiting along with them. It was just like another thing. I think that's what was more important, more core to me, more critical to me, and it's what was important. So I did not really think about anything more than that. That was everything.
So here you are, you're doing art. What then got you into starting a gallery and a gallery owner? Talk a little bit about that journey.
That was one of those things. It was always like a long-term thing. So I always wanted to be a gallery owner. That was something, but you know how sometimes like things happen in the universe. You have your plans and then the universe has its own plans. It was something my father again encouraged me because he knew many of these artists. And when I moved here, he would always tell me, why don't you like take works? And he always wanted me to bring artists over here and have them stay here for 2 to 3 months and like, you know, like, and then they can work on a body of art and maybe have a show for them. So he always wanted me to encourage artists and to showcase their works, feature them and bring that exposure for them because they're well known in India, but they're not very well known here. So that's why it was important. We would have so many such conversations. So I have a home studio here in Bellevue, but I always liked working in group studios. So I had this studio in South Seattle where we worked like in a combined space like with 8 other artists. And but we all had a key. So everybody would come in at different times. It's not like all of us are there at the same time. But anyway, so I had that space. And then later on, it was kind of getting very challenging to go to South Seattle because of the traffic and everything. And that's when I decided to like change locations and maybe find another studio in Seattle downtown. And that's when I was looking for a studio space outside. And as I said, the universe had other plans, and I stumbled upon a storefront gallery in Pioneer Square. And it was in this amazing Toshiro Kaplan building. It's actually a great space. I found like a storefront on street level. It's a 700 square foot space I found at the time. So that building is entirely artists. The street level is galleries, and the first floor is art studios, and the top floor is art residences. So the entire building is art. And it was an amazing space. Pioneer Square is beautiful in the sense it has 60 plus art galleries. It has a lot of culture. It's so vibrant. The energy is different. And surrounding myself by so many galleries and art studios and creatives was fantastic. I mean, I loved that synergy in Pioneer Square. It was just amazing. And over time, my focus just evolved from creating my own art to creating opportunities for artists. And I was always wanting to be that. But yes, I was wanting to do that at a later point in my life. But when the opportunity showed up, so the manager of the building, he called me and he said, the space opened up and would you like to take a look? And that's when I went. So before that, it was Zinc Contemporary. Zinc Contemporary was a women-run gallery. It was a women-only run gallery. They showcase local artists from Seattle and Portland. And she's amazing, the founder. I met the founder. We had a long chat. And then after that, I moved into her space. And we were there for like a year and a half. And I was mostly featuring lots of local artists. Many of them I've known for a long time. And I was very proud, like, to provide them a platform to showcase their work, because many of them wouldn't even get an opportunity to show their work in any gallery. And that's why I'm like, no, you guys are, and these are all like very committed artists. I always told people, like, you need to be a committed artist. I don't want Sunday artists. I will not be featuring Sunday. You need to be a full-time committed artist. You need to be the body of work. And that is very important for me as well.
So why did you then move from Pioneer Square to Bellevue, to the new location where you have this beautiful gallery?
Beautiful gallery. That's a great question. So Pioneer Square was absolutely beautiful. I loved the synergy. In fact, when I had signed the lease there, I thought I'll be in that space forever. And even though it was not a very big space, it was just 700 square feet, it still worked perfectly for me. And I just loved how the energy was. And we had this first Thursday Pioneer Square art walks.
Right.
Our doors. And it was especially nice during the spring, summertime, where the city would participate, and they were like live performances, musicians playing music outside, and all like 40, 50 galleries would participate in the art walk. It was really beautiful to have all that and have that much of foot traffic, and it was very vibrant and to showcase all these different works. So, but Pioneer Square was great for some time, but later it was kind of getting a little challenging. This was again post-COVID. It was especially getting challenging to have clients come from here, from the east side. So I was having a bit of it was not getting easy because of typical Pioneer Square problems. I mean, I was comfortable. I had no problems at all, but folks kind of were not very comfortable to come there, and especially to park. I had like free parking passes for 4 garages around me. And I would keep hosting events, opening reception for artists and closing receptions. And it was kind of getting challenging in time just to have people over. That's only because of the location. And that's when I realized that, okay, this is not fully working for me. And maybe I need to like move to the east side. I need to be where my clients are.
Yeah.
So that's when I shifted, and I worked with the Bellevue City Art Council for a few months. And we worked closely. And that's when I met the mayor, Miss Lynn Robinson, and we spoke a lot. In fact, I was looking for spaces both in Bellevue and Kirkland, but Bellevue Art Council, they really insisted that I find a space here in Bellevue, because since there's not very many galleries in the area. And I'm so lucky to.
Now you have this gallery, you had these beautiful shows. It's very, very exciting. So as we're coming to the close of our conversation, talk a little bit about the importance of purpose and how purpose has meant so much for you.
Purpose for me, it begins with inspiration, and it could be different for different people. I mean, inspiration is different for everyone. For me, art was my inspiration, and it's about finding what moves you and allows you, and whatever moves you, guides you forward. But for me, purpose has never been constant. I mean, for the longest time, my purpose was to be an artist. I was very, very fond of that. I really loved being an artist. So that was something which I was very driven and to do. But that evolved, and then I slowly stumbled into the role of a gallerist now. But over time now, I discovered that the role of an artist is quite different, than a gallerist. Because as an artist, you're more focused on your own thoughts and your own inspiration, and that translates naturally onto your canvas. It's like even your works, I see how beautifully, I see how the abstraction, the geometry translates onto your work. But as a gallerist, I became a storyteller. So I keep telling all my friends, people who come to the gallery, I'm so lucky to be surrounded by so many stories from so many different artists. And there's definitely a role shift, and surrounding myself with all these artists and sharing their unique stories with the world has been like my purpose. And now it's bringing more, it's about bringing more art awareness, and you get as many diverse set of artworks and stories to convey. And representing these amazingly talented artists and having gone through their journeys and supporting their careers has definitely given me lots of happiness. And I have to say, like, some of these artists have made such important contributions, transforming our society. And I'm so, so proud to be featuring them and shining that light. It's very important for me and providing that platform. Otherwise, nobody would know these artists over here. And there's not many South Asian art galleries. And I'm very proud that I'm one of the first South Asian art gallery here on the East Side, in fact, in Seattle. When we moved to Bellevue, I was very happy to partner with the Silverstein Group, who owns the Avenue and the Intercontinental. And they've been amazing partners, and they're also very much in support of the arts. And that's why to have found such a fantastic space, which is like, so I come from 700 square feet to 3,700 square feet.
Yeah, no, that is an awesome space.
Which is a fantastic space. And I'm so happy. So we had an opening in June with the Roots Reimagined show, which is featuring 16 artists with over 50 plus works in various mediums: terracotta, textile, fiberglass, like everything we have. I was trying to get a diverse range of works to showcase as many different mediums as possible over here. So it's been very fulfilling to me, like bringing those voices and being part of this creative exchange. Plus, I've been hosting lots of art events, like to bring in community and culture into the gallery. Like we recently had like a Banyan clay workshop, which is fantastic. And we had 2 workshops, and I'll be having more workshops. I'm having a Madhubani workshop coming up in the next month.
Yeah, so we are actually delighted that you are also going to host us for the Living with Purpose book. So that's great. So let's end with you sharing your one golden nugget, a piece of wisdom for our listeners.
For me, my golden nugget was always centered around creativity. So I always tell people, don't just be creative. Like, do something creative every day. Mindfully do something. It could be anything. Creativity can be in any which way. Like it can be in the form of preparing a dish. Write a small story or something. Like write like a little something, or draw a little something, like something that inspired you. Follow your curiosity and focus on whatever that moves you. And we have something that moves you. Then you have to look around and observe. Find those little things. So just being creative and to live a creative life is what my golden nugget will be. Yes, I strongly believe in that.
This is such a great nugget, right? That find your own little creativity.
Yes. It could be anything. Yes.
Absolutely. And I think to our listeners, we all kind of try and box ourselves into our work life.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But we all have something else beyond our work. Discover that.
Exactly.
That becomes your creative outlet, whether you sing, whether you perform, whether you write, whether you cook. So what is that outlet? And that is such a great golden nugget. Thank you so very much, Vinaya, to be on the podcast. Again, to our listeners, is that renewable sense of energy that continues to drive humanity forward. So continue to find your own little space of creativity. Be courageous. Take that leap. Discover your why. Vinaya, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much again, Akhtarji, and thanks for your support and for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my art journey. This was amazing. Thank you so much again.